Did you think you knew everything about Rumi's tragic story? Well, the truth is, we only saw a tiny part of Rumi's sad life in the Kpop Demon Hunters movie. And I say this because there's so much that wasn't told, and once you know it, it'll break your heart into 1,000 pieces. We already know that both Mira and Zoey had tragic pasts, but since Rumi is the leader, she definitely went through even more pain to get there. Well, get ready, because in this video we'll uncover the heartbreaking story behind Rumi. Let's start with her biggest trauma, the death of her parents. Rumi's mother, Mi-young Ryu, was a member of the K-pop group the Sunlight Sisters, where we saw her working alongside Celine and a third member. The three of them were also demon hunters, who protected the world from their evil plans. Everything was going great with the team, but suddenly, everything changed. Mi-young got pregnant by a guy she'd been dating for a while, but when it came to give birth, the unimaginable happened. Rumi's mother died. The exact cause of her death is unknown. Some say it was Celine herself. Others claim that the guy she was dating was actually a demon. In the early movie concepts, there was supposed to be a scene showing Celine taking Rumi's mother's life, but that idea was scrapped. In the official lore, we know she died after giving birth to Rumi. From that moment, Rumi was completely orphaned. We never learned anything about her father. He might have run away, or maybe Celine took away his life. That's why she took on the role of raising Rumi herself. From a young age, Rumi never knew what it was like to have parental love, a normal Christmas with family, or even a birthday surrounded by people celebrating together. In fact, she never learned the truth behind her mother's relationship with the demon father, because Celine always hid it from her. Rumi's upbringing was extremely strict compared to a normal child's life. You could even say she never had a happy childhood. From a very young age, Celine trained her to become both an idol and a demon hunter. Rumi practically had no other choice. She was born only to hunt demons. And even though that might sound cool or exciting, in reality, it brought her deep emotional trauma. Celine constantly forced Rumi to hide her markings so she could be accepted by others. She drilled into her head that no one could ever find out about them. The truth is, Rumi's life was always lonely. Being raised by Celine meant she was always with her, and there was no chance she could attend school like a normal child. In the movie, we can see that she often accompanied Celine to K-pop events and performances since she was little. It's likely she learned basic education through private lessons, not only because of her idol lifestyle, but also because Celine feared that someone might see her marks or discover her real past. All of this made Rumi feel completely alone in the world, with no one to trust or lean on. She lived that way from childhood all the way into adulthood. When Huntrix was formed, she finally found friends, people she could spend time with and connect to. If we compare her childhood photo to her photo with Huntrix, you can clearly see she looks happier. But being part of Huntrix didn't mean her life suddenly changed for the better. She still carried deep trauma and sadness. She even had to remain cautious to hide her terrible past from her own friends. Maybe you've seen famous people and think they have sky-high confidence. But the reality is that many of them are deeply insecure, and that's exactly Rumi's case. Even though Celine raised her, it wasn't out of pure love, but out of guilt. So Rumi grew up never really feeling genuine affection. That could have caused low self-esteem and the sense that she didn't deserve love or belonging. Something common in people who feel like they are an emotional burden. Rumi might appear strong and confident, but deep down, she's terrified of being abandoned, as shown when her friends and Celine turned their backs on her. That contradiction makes her seem cold on the outside, but deeply craving connection on the inside. That's why she fell for Jinu so quickly. He made her feel understood and truly loved for who she was. Because of Celine's constant pressure, Rumi developed a defensive kind of pride, refusing to ask for help even when she desperately needed it. just like we saw when they took her to Dr. Han. Every day her own mentor drilled into her that being who she really was, half demon, was dangerous. All this led Rumi to suppress her emotions, which is why she struggles to open up to Mira and Zoey. She's afraid of being rejected, so she hides her true self just to be accepted. And because of all those traumas, Rumi fell so easily for Jinu's manipulation. Just think about it. A girl who never had her parents, who was always judged and forced to hide from everyone, suddenly finds someone who understands her, makes her feel loved and supported. Of course, Rumi would fall completely for Jinu. Even he admitted it himself. He only used her weaknesses to take advantage of her. In fact, I think the movie might have been trying to tell us the story of Rumi's parents. Because just like her mother, Rumi also fell in love with a demon. But the difference this time is that the one who died was Jinu and not Rumi. The song Golden revealed the biggest traumas of each Huntrix member. Zoey suffered from her mixed nationalities and her parents' divorce. Mira struggled with not fitting into her own family. And Rumi's part shows that she always hid from everything. Probably because of all the trauma Celine left in her. But now, she can finally express herself completely, because she's no longer just a little girl. She's on her own now. Anyway, friends, Rumi's story shows how the absence of parents can deeply affect a child's upbringing, causing serious trauma and emotional problems as they grow up. Some people manage to understand and accept this later in life and finally heal, but others never do. They stay emotionally blocked forever. That's why at the end of the movie, Rumi accepted that being half demon wasn't something bad, no matter how much Celine tried to make her believe it was. She realized it wasn't something terrible like she'd always been told. It was actually a strength. And it was thanks to that self-acceptance that she was able to defeat Gima and become the best leader Huntrix could have. Rumi taught us to accept ourselves, our flaws, our scars, and always find the positive side of who we are. But before we wrap this up, I'm gonna share a completely heartbreaking fact about Rumi. It's believed that Rumi often visits her mother's grave whenever she feels lonely or just wants to get away from the idol or K-pop life. And as sad as it sounds, it's very likely that next to her mother's grave is the only place where Rumi truly feels loved and cared for. Anyway, friends, what do you think about Rumi's tragic story? Have any of you lived through something similar? Let us know in the comments if you'd like us to tell Jinu's tragic story in the next video.